Darling, you thrill me. Darling, you thrill me. Honest you do, honest you do, honest you... Whoa, hey, cue the intro! And welcome to the Not So Late Show. Tonight, our guest will be...
Susie Youssef.
Hey, stop mindlessly scrolling your life away and tune in to the Not So Late Show on Instagram Live with your host, Brendan Love. Well, welcome to another Sunday night at the Not So Late Show. I'm your I'm your host, Brendan Love. Hello, everybody tuning in. Tamara, latest version. Thank you. That's very lovely of you. All right. Now, before we get into anything, haha, cute as. Thank you. Before we get into anything, it is Red Bin Night in the Warrandyte area. Nillumbik Shire, Red Bin goes out tonight. And I haven't done it, so remind me to do it before the show finishes. Hello, thank you for tuning in. I saw someone tuning in from somewhere interesting before, but it went by too quickly. The UK. Oh, well, it's still pretty interesting. Hi, Susie. She's here. Excellent. Well, as you know, tonight's episode, we will be having Susie Youssef on. Bloody love this show. Here for it. Thank you, Sally Mack. Is it really not so late in the UK? 11:30 a.m. Well, yes, it's not so late. There you go. Hello from the Mornington Peninsula. Hey, Susie. Yes, hello. Waking up to watch the best live. Thank you. Great comments coming in. Now, before we get into it, we're going to do another T-shirt giveaway. We got some Teskey T-shirts here that I'll give away and send off. But we'll do that later in the show. And I only have mediums left, so don't enter unless you're a size medium. And also, I've got these cool guitar straps for any guitarist or bass players. And maybe I'll send these out as well. These are it's backwards because we're on Instagram Live here, but these are basically Fender guitars and Support Act are teaming up to sell these straps to help raise money and, I guess, raise awareness for Support Act. So maybe I'll send those out as well. But we'll get to that later in the show. Anyway, that's Teskey business aside. Now let's get into the show. Good morning from Ireland. Medium is my size. Yeah, I'm not sending a free T-shirt to Ireland. You know how much that'll cost in shipping? We got a small budget here on the Not So Late Show. Too small. All right. Well, anyway, as always, let me tell you a story. That's the first time that's worked properly. Okay. Susie Youssef is a ethnically ambiguous comedian, actor, writer, and improviser. She has written and produced comedy for the stage, radio, and television in Australia and around the world. In 2018, Susie debuted with the Sydney Theatre Company's Accidental Death of an Anarchist at the Opera House. And in December, she wrote and performed in The Smallest Hour in a sold-out debut season with the Griffin Theatre Company. There she is. Wait, no. Trying to add people in here. Oh, there we go. For the Griffith Theatre Company. Also, she appeared on The Last One Laughing on Amazon Prime, which I just watched, which is hilarious. And, of course, you would see her from the Sunday or the Weekend Project. All of those things. And there's a whole bunch of other TV things, but I was too lazy to look them up. But I'll ask her about it. Hello!
Hello! Hi, Brendan. Good, how are you?
Oh,
Very well.
Yeah, yes. I appreciate the... I really thought we would be getting the Channel 10, backdrop here, but...
No, it's just my bedroom, actually. And the rest of it is an absolute bomb site that I will not show you.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Well, I like the slice we're getting. It's very...
I've picked this tiny corner of my room that isn't piled with clothes right now. Can you hear me okay, by the way?
Yeah, no, it's good.
Okay, good.
This is the most professional one of these I've had thus far, so...
Well, that was going to happen.
Oh, well, yeah, look at you. So you would have just got home from the project, presumably pretty recently.
I did. I'm currently drinking my dinner, so...
Yeah. Do you find that, I mean, I always find after a show, it takes me like a very long time to sort of wind down. Do you get that with the TV stuff or not so much? Or what's your kind of finished TV, back to normal life routine?
Yeah, it takes me a really long time. If I ever do a show live or TV, it takes me hours to fall asleep that night. I get a lot of adrenaline because I get nervous before every show, so I get a big rush of adrenaline. I usually watch movies until I fall asleep
Yeah.
and eat a lot and drink beers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, sounds pretty similar here. Um, you still get nervous even
Yeah,
after
every
all these
time.
years of doing things.
And even if I don't think, like, even if mentally I don't think I'm going to be nervous, my body just starts to shake before I do any show. It's always been like that. Like the first ever stand-up show that I did, I danced, like I had the walk-on music and I told my tech to just keep going until I cut him off. And I just ended up dancing for kind of 4 minutes, like kind of pointing at the audience and waving at people and stuff. Because I realized that if I put my knee down, like if I put my foot down and stood at the microphone, my knees wouldn't stop shaking. It's just like my body just shakes furiously. I have terrible stage fright, which is maybe a sign I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing.
I mean, does that turn off when when the light goes red or the audience is there, or is it is it just with you the whole way through?
No, it's about 3 or 4 minutes in. It's all
Yeah.
fine. But
Yeah.
just
Okay.
before that, it's battle stations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know the
You
pressure's
get
on
nervous?
now, so no, I
Oh
don't.
yeah, oh
People
yeah,
ask.
I'm very nervous right now.
Yeah, yeah. All 64 viewers. There's a lot of pressure on this one. No, I don't get nervous. People ask me a lot, but I've never got nervous playing music. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, anxiety enters the life in other manifestations, but
Yes.
music and being on stage is one of the areas where it doesn't for some reason. I don't know why, because I'm not a very socially comfortable person, but for some reason can sort of get up there and do what we do. I mean, it's kind of easy in a way, though. It's not like stand up where it's you and a microphone and, your thoughts.
Yeah,
And
but
it's,
I've been to a few Teskey shows, and you probably talk the most besides Josh. Like you're pretty chatty. You've got stories to tell. Like there's still a kind of bantery element to your performance. So it's not like you just get up there and play music and get off.
yeah, I mean, there's a banter, but I've talked about this with a few comedians. Like, I always wonder whether comedians hate musicians because
Yes, they
they're
do.
given, yeah, awesome. Oh, well, moving on.
No,
No,
no.
because they're afforded this sort of certain level of, there's a levity there where it's like you can say anything and people find it funny. And there's comedians that will listen to a musician say something and the audience laughs and they're just like, what the hell? It's like, what? That's, you know, I
Yeah,
just
it
feel like,
sucks because the other way around it doesn't work. Like a comedian can't get on and like sing a little song and people cheer. They're like, don't sing. Back to your jokes, mate.
yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I often find that musicians get like a pretty accommodating audience when it comes to saying anything. I reckon anything outside the realms of the normal performance is like oh, it's like centre court at Wimbledon. They do
Yeah.
anything and it's like, "Oh, this is the height of whimsy. He's doing a silly maneuver," and everyone kind of I don't know. Anyway,
I know
doing
that's
so.
they're some of my favorite bits at concerts when there's a story being told or whatever. So yeah,
Okay.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, so you hate musicians. Great. Yeah.
What a great start to this show.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, me and you have had a real love-hate thing going on for quite a while now.
From day dot, Brendan. I don't know
Yeah,
about the
yeah,
love bit. It's mostly been antagonism from both sides.
yeah. Sorry, what you're saying? I was busy polishing my aria.
Oh, here we go. I have an aria here. My housemate has an aria. So if we want to play that game,
Oh, really? Who's your...
yeah.
Well, you might not want to say who your housemate is, but...
No, my housemate is ARIA award-winning Bridie Connell, who won Best Comedy Release. So she's,
Ah,
I don't know if she's watching this, but she's in the next room.
yeah.
And that ARIA sits above our television. And the number of times that it's brought into conversation is often, but mostly because she's accidentally stabbed herself with the ARIA once.
Yeah.
And just showed up at a night out and was like, "Oh gosh, I just cut my hand." And we were like, "How'd you do that?" And she was like, "I just picked up my aria wrong," which I don't think many people get to say.
Yeah. It's kind of like, oh, God, I got such a headache. I walked into the edge of my yacht on the way out of my mansion. You're just
It's
like,
the
yeah, all
worst.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I broke
Yeah.
my toe. I dropped my Grammy on it. It's the worst.
Yeah. Oh, heavens above. Somebody said Die Hard is on. Oh boy, we're up for stiff competition here.
Oh gosh, there's no way. No one's watching this if Die Hard's on. Is it Die Hard with a
No,
Vengeance?
no, I think it'd be the first. Well, I don't know. Let me know, Zach. Is it the second one? Is it with a vengeance or is it the first one? Because if it's the second one, I don't care. It's not. It's nowhere near as good as the first and third one. Anyway, yippee ki I want to ask you about the whole project thing, right? Now, when I went on, I mean, it's just weird. TV's weird. You know that. TV's weird.
Yep.
It's
Yes.
a whole
Correct.
other. I don't know. You go in there and there's people around, there's stress, and there's like a production dude, and it's like, okay, here in 5 minutes, and everyone appears very unfazed by it on the panel, but really behind all of it, do you have an earpiece in when
Yep.
you're? Yeah, and like, how do you handle that when there's someone in your ear being like, okay, Susie, funny quip in 30 seconds, and then a hard out? Like, I don't know. Is it something you get used to, or?
Uh, like it changed. Every single show is different for the project, and I think for the first 6 months, I would just go home and cry because I did not know what I was doing. But I think I was just good enough at acting like I knew what I was doing for them not to fire me immediately. But you're right. When you get in there, it's like everything is tiny breaks. Like this is going to be 40 seconds or 30 seconds, and make sure you get your point across. I stutter a lot, and I do get terrible stage fright. So the beginning of most shows is me just like trying to not appear to be shaking at the desk. And people think that is a lie, and it is. I have never started a show without shaking just a little bit before we get on air. Having said that, the team is amazing. So everyone who works in production at the project, like they're the best people, and you just feel hugely supported by all of them. I really hope they're watching right now. They're definitely not.
I'm sure they are, Susie.
On a Sunday night, yeah, the last thing they want to do is watch me on a screen.
Yeah.
But
Especially when Die
you
Hard's
do
on.
get used to it. Oh no, there's no competition there at all.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty well-oiled machine.
Yeah, okay. Well, and the other thing I want to ask about too is, I mean, like, I'm always interested because I mean, on a panel show like that, you've sort of got the people with a journalist background, and then you've got the comedian background, and so you sort of got you, and you've got Tommy Little from more of the, stand-up comedy background, and then you've got your more classic sort of broadcasting journalist types.
Yeah.
Is there ever a sort of, you're sort of hanging out and you kind of feel like you're hanging out with the sort of squares that don't really get the funny? Or like, like backstage you're trying to make jokes and like Waleed's like reciting like poetry or philosophy or something. You're just like, oh boy.
I always think that it must be so much more frustrating for the journalists who are highly intelligent humans to be sitting there as I'm like, here's another dick joke that I've disguised as innuendo. Like, I think it must be a lot more annoying for them than it is for me, because I'm fascinated by like just the way that they interpret the news. Like, journalism is still, even though I've worked on this show for 18 months now, just the ability to have an opinion or an angle on a story every time is fascinating to me. Whereas I think that they must go, if you do one more pun, Youssef, you're out, you're done. It would be so annoying.
Yeah. I mean, is it a hard thing to find those pockets as well? Because when you're dealing with the news, obviously sometimes, like we're dealing with pretty serious subject matter, and then it's probably like, okay, Susie, throw to you, dick joke in 3, 2, 1. And you're like, ugh.
Yeah, there's when I first joined the project, one of the producers pulled me aside and said, look, sometimes we're going to have a story that's like about a suicide bomber, and then the next thing will be about a litter of puppies being born. And that's the hairpin turn that this show does all the time. And some people are amazing at it, and other people are not. And it can be really weird. Like it is. It's a strange show. But the thing is, it's I don't know. Somehow it works because it's been on for 10 years. Like people love it.
Yeah. Well, it's on TV.
Well, not everything on TV is loved, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, people watch it. If it's on TV, people will watch it. It's like that Seinfeld episode. Why are they watching it? Because it's on TV.
Did you enjoy it when you were on there? You guys did pretty well. You've been on twice now.
3 times, but who's counting?
3 times.
Oh, no, sorry. One time was the New Zealand one. That was a bit different. Yeah, I mean, it was like, out of all the stuff we've done, which is not much, but out of any of the stuff with like, people and crews and walkie-talkies and cameras and makeup and all that sort of stuff, It was like the most disconcerting one because I flew up on a Sunday afternoon. I think I got to Sydney at like maybe 5 o'clock or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not like you go in and do like a rehearsal or anything. It's just we hung out, went in, you go into makeup 5 minutes, and then like 5 minutes later I was on the show. So didn't really have. It was just weird. It was like, because it's live as well. It was just such a like, all right, get on, say your thing, and then you're off, and it's like, hang on, wait, what just happened? So
But that
yeah,
happens almost every show we get to a break, and I'm like, what did we just say? Like that went to air, that what we just said went to air. Like it is such a strange environment. Live TV is a strange environment. I will tell you one thing that happened when I first started was I moved my eyebrows a lot. I get a lot of comments on social media about me moving my eyebrows all the time, which I don't have a great deal of control over, or I wasn't really conscious of. But when I first started the project, every time someone would talk in my ear, I would go like that. And one of the producers said to me, you might want to like try and control that a little bit, because otherwise it's really obvious every single time we speak to you. So yeah, that's a little story for you, Brendan.
Thanks, Susie. Now over to the weather. No. Is this live or pre-recorded? Are you talking about this show, or are you talking about the project, Shadow Man 6.9? Both of them are live, so there you go.
Actually, both of them are pre-recorded, and this is the best we could edit.
I know, this was a 3-hour conversation, and so far this is all I could whittle down.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Would you ever host a show?
Would I ever host a show? Why do you think doing...
No, but would you ever take... That's not on television, I mean. Like, would you ever take the Not So Late show and make it... Is this like your long-term goal here?
Yeah, for anyone who's watching this out of the 56 people, like, they know that this is secretly my not-so-secret goal, is to get into some form of, But also at the same time, like, you're a comedian, so, it's like TV is an amazing thing, and an amazing... I don't know what the word is because I'm just making it up because I don't even actually have a TV, but it's a good thing and all of that, and it's a steady job. But, I mean, is there part of the comedian in you that's kind of like, I just want to get up and tell, my dick jokes, and this isn't really the forum for it?
It's no secret that the project was a huge surprise, like, turn in my career. And I don't think anyone thought that I would hang around on that show for very long. I went on as a guest, and then I got asked to come back, and I was chuffed. But yeah, I think live performances, I don't think there's anything like live performance. Like, I started out in improv, and I still think it's just the best feeling. Nothing, even live TV, which is great and pays my rent, and I'm very grateful for it, it just doesn't compare.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, that's right. I mean, it's live, but it's not like you have total autonomy over what you want to express. Whereas on a stage, I mean, you can do that. And also you don't have, a nation watching and ready to sort of pounce on you saying the wrong thing, that's...
Yeah, or comment on your eyebrows being raised too often or anything like that. But,
yeah,
we don't even have an audience anymore. So since the end of March, like, we don't have a live audience, which is so weird. It's so weird to try and be funny at all without an audience. It feels like a rehearsal constantly.
Well, I mean, this leads me to my next thing. The latest thing I watched you in that wasn't the project, look, I'm going to be honest, I don't watch the project. I don't have a TV, all right? There, I said it.
I heard you say it before, Brendan, I get it.
But I did watch the Last to Laugh thing that you were on, which was a pretty interesting concept and kind of strange to watch at times, and this idea of not having an audience or not being allowed to laugh. And I guess it's a similar sort of environment. What was that like as a comedian going into an environment with a bunch of funny people that I'm sure you have instant rapport and jokes with, and not being able to kind of go into that mode?
Quite honestly, nothing has felt worse. Like, to be in a room with some of my favorite comedians in the world and to want to laugh, to not laugh at something when you really want to feels cruel, because the person saying what they're saying is brilliant. And you're like looking at them going, I'm playing a game, but this feels awful. It was such a weird day.
And have you recovered from seeing Sam Simmons in all his glory, or?
I don't think that there is a recovery time for something like that.
Yeah. I love that man. I've been hassling him to come on this show, but I don't know. I don't know the
One
right
day,
people.
Brendan.
I know one day I'll get to Simmons. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess like talking of comedy, like I've always loved stand-up comedy, but something happened where, like, I just kind of would watch your sort of traditional, I guess you would call it, stand-up comedy, where it's just person, mic, and what's the deal?
Yeah, yeah.
But then I saw a Sam Simmons show, and that kind of opened me up to this broader kind of world of improv and sketches and all this sort of stuff. And
Mm.
before that, I hadn't even really, it was just person in t-shirt and microphone and oh boy, my cramps are bad kind of thing.
Oh, the old
Yes.
cramps bit. That's a classic.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of comedians who are so like I think stand up. I'm a huge stand up fan. I love watching stand up, but I'm not as good as the stand up that I love. So even when I do, like, even when I have a good stand up gig, it's nowhere near the level that I want to be at. Whereas character work, like sketches and improv and all that solo stuff that I've done in the past, I feel like that's probably more in my wheelhouse to be someone other than myself. And I know what you mean because I love watching it. Like, I absolutely love watching it. There's one of my favorite comedians who, if you haven't seen, you should check out, is John Kearns from the UK, who is just batshit crazy. He's the most bonkers dude you've ever seen. And his character wears like false teeth and a bald cap, but he speaks like beautiful truths every now and again. And yeah, you should check him out. You would love him.
I definitely will. I mean, yeah, the thing I love about it now, this is what I wonder. So if I go see a gig, like a music gig, I'll find myself slipping into sort of cynical, judgmental asshole at the back of the room with arms crossed, dissecting everything that's going on.
Do you really?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I can snap out of it, but I do find myself going like, oh, yeah, that's a cool progression, or the way that, like the things will stick out and then I'll be taken out of the moment. Do you get that at comedy? Like, will you watch someone and go, oh, I can see the setup coming a mile away? Or like, do you get that? Or
Yeah, definitely on some gigs. Like sometimes you go and see like say 10 comedians one night doing a show, and like at least half of them you'll be like, oh, like instead of laughing, which is the ultimate goal of comedy, you end up going, oh, I see what you did there. Like, there's no kind
yeah,
of, you're like,
yeah,
oh, well done on your structure, or that was shitty or whatever. But
yeah.
the really great comedians, and I think this is why, like when someone's really wacky or just a little bit different or doing character stuff, that takes me out of my brain a bit more. And then I feel like a kid again when you go to watch shows or movies and you just completely not thinking about the experience as much as you are just being in the moment and enjoying it.
Yeah, you've nailed that one. You've just
Thank you,
that
Brendan.
is exactly what happens. Like, yeah, like if I go watch, or like Demi Lardner is someone I like as well. Like if I go watch her, it's just I'm not thinking because it's just absurd, and I'm just kind of like,
Yeah. Because she kind of
just
taps into, like, Demi's a really good example. She like taps into a part of your brain where you're not thinking this is a person on stage doing a thing. You're like, what is happening right now? So it kind of takes over that cynical part of your brain. Tom Walker is another brilliant example of that.
yeah,
He's just like, I've known Tom for a very long time, and I'm still, every time I see him, something just clicks, and I'm like, what am I watching? Like, how did you come up with this?
yeah, yeah. Well, his most recent special on whatever it is,
On
Amazon Prime or
Amazon?
one of the, yeah, I don't know. I watched that the other day, and I sent Demi a message and just said, "Tell Tom I really enjoyed the part where he mimed shoving a enlarged penis into his butt and then vomited out. Just tremendous work there. Tremendous work.
I remember I remember watching that bit on stage and just being like, yeah, that checks out. Like, this is,
Yeah,
I wasn't disgusted by it. I was like, this is a logical step for Tom right now.
yeah, yeah. Um, is Shadow Man 6'9" one of your comedian smart friends or something, or like what's going on here? There's a few jokes about my attire, which I appreciate. I encourage everyone to make as much fun.
Sorry. I don't have any lumberjack jokes. I apologize. Shadow Man 6.9. I don't know who Shadow Man 6.9 is, but
Okay, yeah, fair enough. There you go.
so do you
So
know Demi?
Not well, but I met her at a music festival that I played at and that she was doing comedy at, and I just kind of fangirled all over her. And since then, I've been trying to forge a friendship. But it's really hard to make friends with people past a certain age, and it's just not sticking. So, yeah,
Okay, well, best of luck with it.
yeah. She's been on the show, so she was polite
Oh,
enough to
that's good.
tolerate me. Yeah. So, but
She tolerated you for what? How long does this go for? Like an hour?
I mean, just until people tune out, so probably another 3 minutes. Who knows?
Just as that number starts going down, you're like, all right, it's time to leave.
Yeah.
Then it's just like my mum and my friend Lucy watching. My mum's not watching, but hi, Luce. I'm sure she is.
Yeah. Well, you got 6 or 5 sisters or 6 sisters or something, haven't
I
you?
got five sisters, yeah.
Well, there you go. So that, we've at least got 5 people watching.
Oh,
So.
no, they're 100% not watching. My family can't stand watching me do anything.
Really? Or is this is this the classic comedian self-deprecating humor, or they
No, no,
actually
no.
don't?
They get very nervous watching me perform. Most of them. Most of my sisters do.
Is it because they're worried about ooh, what if she bombs? It's going to be awkward.
Not because
Yeah,
it's going to
okay.
be awkward. It's because they're really empathetic and they're just like, I don't want to feel the pain of you bombing on stage.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing more. It is a divine sight watching a comedian bomb. There's something so thrilling about it. I mean, it's horrible for them, but watching it is like, ooh, I've never felt so alive. And
Do you...
the, so I was going to say the three
That's
times,
awful.
well, I know, but the 3 times I've done, or 4 times I've done stand up, 2 were
I
good.
didn't
And
know this.
well, yeah, not many people do. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't want anyone to come, right? And 2 times were good, and the other 2 times were so bad that I've never even contemplated doing it again. And that feeling has never left me.
But it's like a car accident. If you bomb, you have to get straight back up, or you'll have some sort of repressed trauma the rest of your life, which you clearly.
Yeah, well, look at me. I was just some loser in his house doing a show to no one.
Come on, man. It's
Yes.
41, excellent 40 now. Excellent humans watching right now.
Yeah.
41, we're
Very.
back up.
Oh, there we go. Don't back down to 40.
Oh, no,
38.
37.
Oh, good
Oh,
Lord. You're jinxing it, Susie.
can you tell
Oh.
me, Brent? I know that this is your show and I should stop asking you questions,
No,
but can
I
you
like
tell
it
me
when
what?
guests take some of the weight because,
Okay, good.
yeah, no, it's good.
Tell me what your first. Oh, hi, hum. Tell me what some of your first. What your first stand-up bit was about. What your set was about.
um, well, I came in way too hard and way too crude, and I got really nervous, and so I started swearing too much and just doing, and yeah, it just went straight into this shock value thing, which just had no credible punchlines to make it worth sitting through that. And it's funny, as I was doing it, I was analyzing it, and I was just like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm nervous and I'm swearing and I'm trying to just get any reaction out of the audience whatsoever. And the first thing that came to me was shock, because I guess I have somewhat of a dark sense of humor. But it just wasn't funny. It was about, I don't want to talk about it. It's just,
No,
oh
don't.
God.
Don't. I'm glad to know that you've tried it, and I'll talk to you about it offline at some point.
Yeah. But I mean, what was your so I want to ask about you going from, because you having a background in sort of improv and I don't know what the word is. What do you call it? I don't know, that stuff, improv, theatery, sporty kind of things or
Yeah.
whatnot. Transitioning from that into the solo mic in hand, stand-up thing.
Stand-up.
What was that transition like?
I didn't go straight from improv to stand up. I started hanging out at Sydney Uni. I wasn't enrolled there, but I went there to do theatre sports on Thursdays at lunchtime with a bunch of guys that I knew, and they then went on to do a sketch show. So they were a sketch troupe that went down to Melbourne Comedy Festival called the Delusionists, and I was doing sketch with these guys. And then after a couple of years, I was really keen to try. I'd seen someone do solo sketch. I'd seen some friends and some excellent performers doing solo sketch, and that's where I wanted to go. I wanted to do solo sketches. And it just kind of came out of that. In between sketches, I would sometimes do banter with the audience, or I would tell a story, and then just kind of grew from there, doing stand-up. But the first stand-up, the first actual stand-up gig that I did without any sketches was at the Manly Boat Shed in Sydney, which was rough. Like, it was a rough venue at the time. And a couple of guys had told me that, you know, you might get a glass thrown at you. And I was like, what am I doing? But I have never been so nervous as that gig. And I actually blacked out. So I don't remember any of the gig at all. And I vomited at the end of it. So,
Oh.
I don't know if that transition was the right thing.
No, but so like, this is what makes me curious. So you have that experience, you black out, you vomit after it. Now, at what point do you go, I'm going to do that again?
Well, because you also get a rush from it. Like, I was always so curious as to what it felt like to do stand up, because there's no character that's kind of protecting you from yourself. And it was a very, this is going to sound super wanky. It was a very vulnerable thing to do, to tell like personal stories on stage and see if people laughed. But my friends were really supportive, and they were like, that went well. And then I would get booked for other things. And it was easier than getting a troupe together and try to tour shows. Like, you would know, like the logistics of a band. I mean, you guys look like you're a pretty solid unit, but it's not easy. It's amazing, but it's not easy. Like, I think a solo artist has a lot more autonomy, and it can be, just technically easier, if anything. And so I just kept going with it, and then wrote a couple of shows that went better than the Manly Boat Shed.
Well, you know, as long as it's that upward trajectory, you know.
I think it was for a while.
You'll get that aria one day, mate.
Every opportunity, Brendan.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what you get for, making fun of me on national TV. No, I love it.
Well, hold on a second. Which aria is that? What is that for?
Well, there's two here. One is for best group, and one is for best blues and roots album.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you're not impressed with my... Yeah, that's fine, fair enough.
They're very good. They're very good.
Yeah, no, whatever. So Waleed, was he busy at the moment now or something? He doesn't have socials, actually.
No, I think it was his birthday yesterday, Waleed's birthday. And Waleed would not be backstage chatting poetry. He's a very learned man who would be... Not that he... Anyway, that doesn't make sense. But he is never off. Like, he's always ticking. Super smart dude.
He's a musician too, I think. Like, I think I've actually seen him play many moons ago. But
oh, cool.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Listen, shut up for a second.
Also, no, but there's no competition. I know Waleed is a better presenter than I am. There's no competition, man.
I was just, I just was playing up to. It's called Yes and. I don't know if you. I don't know if you've come across that.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for your improv tutorial, Brendan. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh boy, there was nothing. Nothing made me cringe more than doing that kind of stuff in high school. I don't know why, but yeah, there was just, maybe it was just the teacher or just the people in the class. But oh man, like a game of freeze tag would just, oh boy, I couldn't handle it. Anyway,
were you good at maths? No, I'll stop talking. You ask the question.
No, you go for it. Nobody ever asked me questions, so no, it's good.
I feel like every time we got to do drama or theatre sports, which wasn't very often at school, but I just embraced it because I didn't want to do maths ever. Like, any excuse to do anything but maths. I was terrible.
Well, you know what? This is the exact thought I had, right? So I used to do it, and I remember I got to like VCE, and I was like, what's easy? And I was like, oh, I'll do drama. And then it ended up just being a fuckload more work, and maths was actually way easier because it was just like, this plus this minus this equals this. Whereas with this, it was like, oh, you got to come up with a character and you got to do a solo. And I was just like, oh God. And there's a bunch of people doing like turning around and changing characters and being all tricky and nifty. And I was just like, oh, I am so flaccid right now. But you know, no, I got distracted ages ago. There was something I did want to ask first. Oh, what was your first bit of gear coming from improv into, Manly Boathouse?
Into Manly Boat Shed. I used to open with a joke about how I didn't want to die on stage. That my greatest fear was dying on stage, not because I thought that the gig was going to go bad, but because if I died on stage, someone would ring my mother. and they would interrupt a TV show that she was watching, and she'd be very disappointed in me for ruining her night. Because then my dad would have to come and pick up my dead body. And it was a really long story about basically my dad and mum having to stop watching Family Feud to come and pick me up. And yeah, it was dark shit. It was weird.
Yeah, okay.
I tell lots of stories. I mind my family I still continue to mind my family for stories constantly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't grow up ethnically ambiguous with a large family and probably not have a plethora of hilarious stories about hummus or something. I don't know.
True. I've got a great story about hummus.
I know you do. That's why I said it. I actually saw that somewhere. I can't remember. But saw it in real life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I remember thinking like, yeah, anyway, whatever. People go watch the bit. I don't want to spoil your good bits.
Don't retell a bit. It'll be the worst.
Yeah. That's the other thing too, is like, do you get a lot of like family Christmases or parties or whatever? It's like, oh, go on, Susie, tell a joke. And you're like, yeah, I don't really tell jokes. I mean, I tell jokes, but I don't tell jokes.
I mostly tell stories about all of you, my family. My one of my cousins had his Bucks night at the Comedy Store, where I performed. So he had like 30 mates plus my uncles all show up, and I remember doing a bit that was a bit more risque than usual, and just thinking the whole time, oh fuck, like this is going to be the worst. I'm going to have to face them afterwards. But they were great about it. But then at his wedding, so it's the Bucks night of my cousin Tony, at his wedding, he thanked me for performing at his Bucks night, which made me sound like a stripper, and didn't clarify that at all. My grandmother was furious.
Yeah. Well, at least you didn't die on stage, though, you know?
I didn't.
Yeah. Lost my train of thought. Just having one of those nights, Susie. Do you ever
you're
get them?
killing it, Brendan. You're doing so good.
The self-loathing lately has just been at such a point where it's like just even getting in front of 48 people is just too much for me. I mean, how do you handle that going nationally to millions of people?
How do I handle my self-loathing in front of the nation? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if there is self-loathing. I mean, you're a comedian, so I imagine there's a bit of it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit. It doesn't feel like you're in front of as many people as we're in front of, because there's just kind of 20 people in the studio or 10 people in the studio, all socially distanced. And it doesn't feel like that. But yeah, I don't know. Some nights are worse than others. I have some questions. I would like to ask you some questions.
All right.
Are you up for this?
Yeah, sure. I remembered what the thing was, but
please do it then. Go.
No, let's go for it, because it's not great.
You first.
No, so as you said it, I was like, I remember what it was. I was like, oh, that's not good. I was just going to talk about our mutual love of Lamingtons. That's all it was.
I could talk about Lamingtons forever.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay. Well, as proved by this long pause after the statement, you could talk about Lamingtons forever. This is good.
All right, I will tell you. My first preference for a Lamington is a Lamington finger. Thoughts on that?
I can't hear the word finger and not giggle. I'm still 13.
Yeah, same.
Lamington finger. I get where you're going with it. More surface area, more chocolate. But I often find that the finger, the Lamington finger, is it's very rare to get a moist finger. You know what I mean? Because they're the packet ones.
Do you name these episodes of the Not So Late Show? Because if you do,
moist finger's a front runner.
The rare moist finger is now the name of this episode.
Yeah. I like where you're going. I like the feeling of it.
I know what you mean, because the sponge is quite small. There's less chance of it being a moist sponge.
Yeah. I don't mind the finger, but I really like a traditional Nana's square, a hearty, hefty, with a like
jam or no jam.
I'm ambivalent. I enjoy jam. I also don't enjoy jam. I'm not upset if I get one or the other.
If I get jam, I'd cut it out.
Really?
Yeah.
What about cream? When you get the fancy cream and jam one?
There was a time when I would have loved that, but I am lactose intolerant in my adult life, and I can't do cream.
Yeah, okay. Um, done any isolation baking, like tried to make lamingtons in isolation or?
I haven't actually ever tried to make a lamington, but I will. I make a lot of Rocky Road. I made 4 trays of Rocky Road last night, some for my project pals. Um, yeah, I've been cooking heaps in lockdown. Can you cook?
Yeah, I enjoy baking more than cooking. But I mean, I live alone, so I have to. Um, but I really enjoy baking, and I've been doing a bit, but I had to stop because, you know, um, yeah. But I really like the obsessive compulsive nature of baking. Like when it says, like whenever it says
The
approximately,
precision of it?
well, yeah, when a recipe says approximately, I get upset. I'm like, no, 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 no. Come on. This is why we have a recipe. Let's get precise.
So it would drive you nuts if you grew up with my family because my grandmother used to say, like, just put like that much in. And I was like, what do you mean that much? Like your hand is a different size to my hand. Can you just tell me in teaspoons or whatever? And
Yeah.
I mean, she obviously didn't speak a lot of English, so there was a lot of barriers there to replicating a recipe. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not good at following a recipe. I like the kind of vibing it out thing.
Yeah, you would. That's the ethnic magic of just like, yeah, put a little up at the pinch, like, are you allowed to do that anymore? Because the other day I was impersonating a friend who I love, like, I respect and admire this person so much to the point that I have gone to the trouble of like perfecting an impression of them, but they happen to be of I don't know, a ethnic minority that some would question whether that's appropriate to do, even though it's done out of love.
Brendan,
Thoughts?
I am not going to tell you whether you're racist or not, but But the thing is, you can do whatever you want to do. There will just be consequences in certain audiences if you do it. That's all I'll say.
No, but I mean, like, yeah, I know what you
Oh,
mean.
some of the shit that I say with my closest friends and family is horrendous, and I would never say it in public, and I will never say it in public.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
all context. It's
But
also
where
it's
is the
about
line?
that the line moves all the time.
No, but specifically, like, what ethnicity is the line? Because I can be like, hey, I'm Irish, and nobody says anything, right? Where,
Actually, the Irish community have been calling me and asking me to bring this up tonight about can you please stop imitating them? So the line's moved.
oh, okay, yeah, all right. Captain PC over here, now she's on the projects. Yeah, I see how it is.
Oh boy. Are you drinking tea?
Nah, just water. Yeah. See, I got mugs made. I don't see any project mugs.
I don't think there are project mugs.
Yeah, no,
I
I
thought
probably don't
something
have the
about that.
budget for it.
Probably not.
It's all going towards The Bachelor. Is that on Channel 10? I don't know. Stone
It's
and
my
Woods, there
favorite.
we go.
That's my favorite beer.
Somebody commented on that before, so there you go.
It's delicious. I don't know if
And
this
it,
is so unprofessional to be drinking this beer on your show, actually.
I really wouldn't worry about it. Yeah. I mean, we could probably just sit here in silence for the next 20 minutes and, really wouldn't make that much difference. But, look, I feel like we've got a good rapport. Let's keep
I
going
think
with the,
we're doing great, Brendan. Let's not reevaluate it as we go.
yeah. What were your questions? Because
You're running out.
I'm
I
dead
would like
weight
to
tonight.
know. No, you're doing great. I want to know if so we spoke about cooking during lockdown. I have also discovered a love for drawing during lockdown, and I want to know if you have any artistic abilities.
Drawing, yeah, it's funny you say that. Actually, I mean, if you followed me on Instagram, you would have known it was my birthday the other day, and I do a
Okay,
self-portrait every year.
well, happy birthday, and I followed you as of yesterday, I think.
Okay, yep,
So when is your birthday?
7th of August. So it was like, a while. It was a week ago or
Okay.
something like that.
Well,
Yeah, I
happy
do.
belated birthday, Brendan. Jeez, no host in history guilts their guest into wishing them a happy birthday during an interview.
That's why this guy's special. Um, yeah, I draw and paint, like not amazingly, but I enjoy it. I had to stop though because I get very obsessive with stuff, and I got to the point once I could start like getting the image to look like something real, as in like a portrait or something. Then the kind of obsessive detail part came in, and I just would get far too consumed, so I had to stop doing it. So
I'll
I
I'll
do
have
it.
to have a look at your page.
Yeah, well, They're not great, but yeah, I do it once a year now. I just paint a self-portrait on my birthday.
Well, that's cool.
Or I might, like for friends, I might do a painting for a friend or something if I, being a tight ass and haven't thought of anything to get them. But yeah.
I think that's very cool. I wish, like, I'm not good. I just enjoy doing it, but I'm not very good at all.
Are these in
But
the background? Are these some Susie Youssef originals or?
they're not. That is Will McPhail, my favorite cartoonist.
Uh-huh.
And it says, you know what doesn't grow back, Susan, trust, which is the best. And this here is actually a picture of it's what is that? Oh, I did a play called Home I'm Darling in Melbourne at the beginning of this year, end of last year, and that was one of my costumes. That's the designer
Okay.
Renee Mulder did that.
That was the one I think I was going to come see, but I just never did because I was
You
on
never
tour.
did. Hey,
Yeah.
and look at this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That is my friend drew that, and is a memorial oak tree. It's my favorite. I absolutely love it. It's opposite my bed, and I look at it all the time. Can you see it?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I mean, come on, bust out the Susie Youssef original. Surely you've got
There's
something on the
no.
fridge.
I
You said you
definitely
started
don't.
drawing.
I did, but I don't put anything up. I'm not going to put stuff up in my own house. But I did a life drawing thing on SBS. Oh, thank you, Amy Kersey. She just put up Drew's handle. Amy Kersey is a brilliant artist as well, who lives down the street from me. I did a life drawing show on SBS, and everyone else on the show could draw. And I was like, I can't draw, but I'll be happy to be the person who fails so that everyone at home feels better about it. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I went and bought charcoal like the next day, and it's hard to find naked people during lockdown, but I have been sketching trees.
Yeah. I mean, trees are good. Like, I mean, the bodies, I find the human form and trees both like equally as satisfying to draw, just because like once you get past that, have you found this as well? Like once you start drawing something, in the beginning, you'll sort of start to draw what you think you're seeing. But as you do it more and more and more, you'll start to realize that, oh, hang on, I'm not actually looking at the thing in front of me. And once you start to look at it in that way, it like, I don't know, there's just like your whole perception just kind of opens up and you go, wow. Like once I started doing portraiture, I found like I would look at people's faces and go, wow, that's so interesting. And I'd see things in them that I'd never noticed before. And the same with trees.
But when did you start doing that? Did someone teach you how, or did you always have an ability to do it?
No, I was at a festival. Like I was at like a hippie festival one time and I was just bored and my friend was next to me and she's an amazing drawer. And it was just one of those things that I'd always wanted to be able to do, but I couldn't. And then so I was like, I'm just going to do it every day for a couple of years until I get good at it. And that's just what I did basically. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, well, you got to fill your days with something.
So why now do you only do a portrait every birthday? Why don't you draw every day?
Because I did it for like 4 or 5 years and I got way too obsessive. I get very obsessive with anything I do and it starts to become like, I was like, I'd do like a portrait for like 6-7 hours straight and wouldn't be able to do anything until it was finished. So I was like, I got to stop doing this, because it went from being enjoyable and like this nice therapeutic practice to like this completely insular, like looking at things on the micro level. And I was like, I got to stop this. So,
well, I can understand that. I don't experience it, but I understand what you're saying.
It's also why I gave up my love of Kaylee dancing as well. So.
I could hear in your voice that was something like that was coming, and I was like, what is he going to say? So this is the moment where I'm standing at the back of the stand-up room going, oh, I see what you did there, Brendan.
No, but you know what I did though? I'll tell you the thought process, because I like that you picked up on that there was a thought process. The thought process was I went to salsa dancing, but that was a thing that I'd actually done and do, so that's not funny. So then I was like, I got to think of a more weird dance, but I couldn't think of one. And then that was the first thing that came to my head. So I'm glad you could see the small semblance of comedic gears churn away in this vapid, unoiled, rusty hull of a ship in the middle of a sea of not funny. But yeah, thank you.
I think what's happening is you're in the middle of a very rough probably the hardest. I don't know how your life has gone, but this will definitely have to be some of the hardest time in your life because you're a touring musician who is stuck at home right now.
Oh, yeah, you'd be surprised. I mean, like, I certainly don't want to start talking about how, rough I've got it when the rest of the, world has got things. I mean, if the worst I've got at the moment is a little bit of boredom, then I'm not going to complain.
No,
Yeah.
that's completely fair enough. Completely fair enough.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a social hermit anyway, so I'm kind of relishing this time. It's an excuse
Are
to
you
actually.
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't give off that vibe generally.
Yeah, but I mean, you're a performer. You said something before that was interesting. You said there's no character to hide behind, but I mean, even every performance, even with just a microphone and a person, there is a semblance of some persona that stands behind an audience
definitely.
and you.
But
so
the space between you and the character you're playing say, I have a character called Anya who's from generic Eastern Europe that is a really fun character for me to play because she's very distant from me. And so we're like that far apart from each other. But then you do stand up and the distance between you and the character is so close that it feels like it can be very exposing, especially if you ever have to do anything on stage that is improvised because you don't know what's going to come up. Like sometimes I'm responding to this looks official.
No, go on. I was listening.
I was just saying, sometimes you're responding to a heckler and you don't know, like some of the horrible shit that has come out of my mouth because I've had to defend myself against a heckler is just awful. And that's me. Like, that's just me talking.
Yeah. I mean, I want to get back to that. I just want to take a note. So generic Eastern European accents are acceptable to do?
No, I don't think they are. I haven't done that character in a couple of years because a friend of mine pulled me aside and was like, I don't know if Anya is acceptable anymore. And I was like, maybe not.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like if you experience a great deal of racism throughout your life, that there is a slight bit of leeway if you start to take the piss of racists, which is what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, you've got enough ambiguity too to where it could kind of spread pretty, you could get away with a fair bit, I imagine.
I could get away with some of it, probably not anymore.
No. And what was the thing you said after that? I can't remember. Something about, hecklers, right?
Hecklers.
My friend asks me about this all the time, and they're like, because quite often it's this like role that gets played where I think in an audience there's hecklers that just go there and say something just because they want to be a part of that experience. But then there's your actual drunken dickhead who's just there to ruin it for everyone else. And then in that sense, I often have witnessed comedians pick up on that instantly. And my friend was like, why do they have to be like so full on about it? I'm like, because if you don't, you've got to go from like 0 to 100 straight away, because if you don't and you give them an inch, they'll take a mile and the show is ruined. So,
because if you're doing a show and that's one person who's taken over the show out of 300 maybe that are watching that night, you're ruining the show for 299 other people by indulging that person instead of doing the show that they've paid to see. Yeah.
So, I mean, have you ever been impressed though? Like, has a heckler ever said something and you've just gone, bastard, that was actually pretty good?
Honestly, no.
Okay, fair enough.
I really haven't. I've definitely sparred with someone and I've been like, oh, okay, like they're up for a bit of banter, but I've never been like, oh, you got me so good, man. Like, I wouldn't be doing a very good job if that happened.
Okay, I'll keep my comments to myself next time.
If you could shut the fuck up, please, Brendan, that would be really great.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm just getting out my nifty little cards, but my pre-canned music isn't working at the moment. So you'll have to imagine that there's a theme song playing to this next segment.
I'm opening another beer as I talk to you.
Go for it. It's called If I Only Knew. If You Only Knew. It's like a quick thing. This is how I wrap up my professional show, you see.
Okay.
So, but normally there's a song that plays and it's very endearing, but it's not here.
Do you want to try and do it again?
I could probably get a guitar and do it, but as I said, do it.
Nah, come on, Brendan.
The self-loathing is up here,
Brendan.
Susie.
No, you got to bring it down. Get your guitar. Do it.
No. Well, we got 5 minutes, so we gotta shoot through these.
Okay, okay,
All
go.
right. Childhood celebrity crush.
Oh, John Stamos from what
Yep.
was the show?
Family,
San
family.
Francisco.
Uh,
Oh my
I,
gosh, someone
I
someone
can't think
know
of
this.
it.
San Francisco. It's
Yeah, yeah.
everywhere you look,
You go
everywhere.
everywhere.
There's a hut,
Somebody who
everybody
needs
do what
you.
you do. What is it? Full House.
Full
Thank
House.
you. Thank you.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
Maddie
I love.
from our label. Um, you know, not John Stamos. Who's the other guy? Who's the main guy? The comedian.
Bob Sager.
He is filthy. That blew my mind when I saw his stand up for the first time because I was like, wait, the Full House and Funniest Home Video guy is like completely working blue. Wow.
Yeah,
All right.
he's super blue.
All right. Something you wish you were better at.
Learning languages, definitely. I've tried many times and I'm not good. Also, cooking. I would love to be a good cook. Also, fitness.
Just one's fine. Yeah. Uh, what song do you sing in the shower?
I've been singing the Jurassic Park theme song for about 15 years. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
all the
That's
time.
interesting. I just learned. I was actually playing. Whatever. Um,
Oh,
characteristic
Brendan.
characteristic you value most in others.
I've spoken about this before. Kindness is definitely, anyway, these are short responses. Kindness, people being kind.
Okay. Your father is quite kind. Is this where that comes from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, yes, full stop.
Great. What value? What do you value in yourself the most?
I think I'm pretty determined. I'm like, you know, I've spoken about it tonight. I speak about it often in my stand-up. I'm a very anxious, depressive human, but I'm very determined to live despite that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I feel that. Do you have a favorite joke? As in joke?
Joke. Oh, there's a terrible joke that my nephew had told me many, many years ago. No, I can't. It's just weird. I don't have a favorite joke.
Come
I tell you what, Will McPhail's cartoons are my favorite jokes.
Okay.
You should check him out.
Do you enjoy it when people come up to you and try and tell you jokes and give you like comedy advice?
I like to stay at home and read books. I'm generally scared when people talk to me.
Oh, me too. What makes you angry?
Hypocrites.
You know what makes me angry?
What?
Hypocrites.
You are next level.
You know what I'm saying, though, right? Like, you'd see them around Bondi. When was the last time you've had your mind changed on something? Can be fickle or some big philosophical thing, whatever.
No, genuinely tonight, we interviewed Lindy Chamberlain on the show, and I had a whole idea of what she would be like, and she wasn't at all. She had an amazing sense of humor, and in the few minutes that we chatted to her, I was like, wow, this woman has copped a lot of shit for a long time, and she's, yeah, exceptional.
Okay. Well, that's awesome.
Not that I thought, not that I really knew what I thought, but yeah, she was very interesting.
Yeah, all right. And that's normally where the song goes, and that's the end of that segment. And we have 1 minute remaining, so I'm going to wrap this up and say thank you for joining me.
Brendan.
Oh no, thank you for tolerating me. It's been wonderful having you on. Thank you for doing some of the heavy lifting. I was, it's, as I say, carrying the wheelbarrow full of self-loathing tonight. So thank you for
I
carrying
think you
some
did great.
of that.
That's the quickest hour of my life. That was great.
Oh wow! Well, there you go. Well, just tell those Channel 10 producers then.
If I'm going to tell them anything, I'm going to ask on my own show, but you'll be second on the list.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I thought you said you value kindness, but whatever. Everyone go watch Last to Laugh. Last one. What is it called? Last to Laugh. Last whatever.
Last One Laughing, or Rosehaven as well. Rosehaven is one of my favorite shows I've ever done, and it is on Wednesday nights on ABC. with the wonderful Celia Piccola and Luke McGregor, and I play a character called Jez, and it's the best. This season is the best.
Okay, I will check that out. And Squinters, is that still a thing?
Yeah, it's around. It's around. I'm also on an episode.
That's life.
That's life.
That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May.